All right. So yeah, let's do another Hyperfy.how. Here we are. If you don't know, here's the site, Hyperfy.how. You can start wherever you want. Sandbox will bring you to the play world currently, but we are maybe working on a surprise for you for a little more learning style world. Secret. But we'll check out the quick start right now. In the Hyperfy.how world, or Hyperfy.how page, you can find all the old calls here, video tutorial series, and it's been brought to general attention. People lately have been needing a little bit of guidance after they get their world up and running. So, we've done some quick start local installation, getting world hosted, working with some assets, getting it in there, a little deeper dive into high packages, mods, doing some kind of more advanced stuff, kind of jumped there real quick, and then we took a step back and we did some Git, which needs to get added into here. And now learning that some people need a little bit of help also with how to deal with branches and dev branch. And so actually Cheddar created this nice forking guide that will guide you through like a little more how to use Git and how to manage projects and forks and upstream. And so if you need a deep dive into how that works, you can check this out. You can get to that from either the quick start or the detailed. Quick start's pretty straightforward, maybe assuming that you know a little bit how Git works and stuff. Detail goes in a little more detail of like installing Git and npm and nvm and all the things that you might be like, what do all these words mean? And then if you're like, wait, main branch, dev branch, what's the difference? How do I make one happen and not the other? What do they mean by are you on the latest dev? What does git pull mean? Why do people get really excited when there's 8 things that pop up in this channel, this GitHub channel? How do I join the party? So you need to get the dev branch, and you can check out this forking guide. So then if you have a world, do I have a fresh world? Let me. You know what? Let's just do it, huh? One more time. So you can get clone. Boom, boom, bam. So I'm going to get clone. I know I'm not showing my terminal. That's fine. Then I'm going to cd into my world. Then I'm going to copy my environment variables from the environment example. Then I'm going to npm install, which I could also just be clicking right here. And then that's going to install some stuff. Now it installed it. And now I clicked npm run dev, and in that amount of time, I now have a fresh world up and running. It is on main branch, as we just talked about. So if I wanted it on here, I would actually kill my world with a control C. I'm already cd'd into my world. I can do get fetch origin. Do this command. I could do this command. And then I can run it again. Uh, so dev branch is for development. It's where things that are fresh, maybe not fully tested or haven't been packaged together to go into main branch. Main branch is like where things go to live when pretty much they're being released as like a release. Like right now, we recently did V0.1. And so Ash put a big push out, and that's, some things going to dev branch that still need a little bit of testing, or maybe it's also so that things can go over like in chunks, so we're not constantly, sometimes in one day 8 things will be new to the dev branch, and then other days nothing. And so, at the end of what seems like a good period where all the new features and stuff maybe belong together, then it gets pushed as like a new release version, and then is stable and put onto main branch. So yeah, does that answer your question? Totally. Yeah, yeah. And so I just went through these commands, and when I went to do run dev, because I did this already, it's yelling at me. And the yelling at me is saying an error module not found. The reason the module is not found is because there was recent things that happened in dev branch. In this case, I think it's specifically React 19. It was updated to React 19 and polyfill was added. So it's saying like there's stuff in dev branch that you don't have installed based on what you just did in main branch. So I'm just going to do npm install again. And that should solve that problem. And then I can run dev. And it looks like it did it. And so I can Control Shift R and it will refresh my page. And now I'm on dev branch and it doesn't look any different. And there's nothing on my screen. Oh my God, what do I do? Let me click. Okay, I don't get it. What does Hyperfy do? Okay, cool. Let me walk around. I can jump. Okay, this is fun. What happens now? You can press escape. You get your mouse back. Still don't know what's going on. Press escape again. Oh, wow, there's things here. Okay, I can change my name. If you click through here, you can change the size of your UI. You might want build prompts. You're like, okay, what is a build prompt? So you're looking, maybe I press escape again. Oh, look at that. A build prompt. So that's a build prompt. Got to that from UI. Scale it down a little bit, maybe a lot of it. Build prompts right here. Build prompt is to be a builder. Now, I just built a world. Admin password by default in your environment variables is empty, I guess, at this point. I mean, it has to be, otherwise I would have had to type something in, right? So I thought before it was admin, but I think it's empty now. And so if you spun up a world like I just did and you did git clone and you did npm install and npm run dev, then you should be able to see this right here. If you press escape, UI, build prompts is put to yes, it should show up. Now, if I press Z, it's going to disappear. Z is just a hotkey, a toggle that isn't really explicitly set anywhere yet. So I'm going to make sure to add that to the docs page, and maybe it can get added somewhere in here too, like right here when it says build prompts, it probably should say control, or not control C, but Z is a toggle for it, which is what it is currently. By time maybe you're viewing this video, maybe that'll change. Like I said, this is on dev branch, And so some of the feedback from community members has been like, maybe Z is not necessarily the best button for that. Especially when you're playing or you're controlling a character with WASD or whatever. I don't know, Z can be used for other game mechanics maybe that don't do that. But we will see where that goes. But for now, if you come in here and you don't see anything, either try pressing Z or press escape, go to UI, turn build prompts on. Now if I were to press Z, because it says no, it's not doing anything. And that's why, because this is on no. So if that's on yes, we go to tab. Now you can see this other stuff. Let's get something dragged in here so you can see me do stuff. What we got? So it's a little down there. So I can press C, bring it up. Boom, boom. The hyper orb. Coming soon to a world near you. So to grab it, I press my left handle. Now the reason this one looks so small when I grabbed it is because it's actually scaled up within the code right now. This might change in the future of like the viewing style of it. So put it back to normal size. So that's kind of a little bit wonky right now. If you actually have scaled it up in code like this one has been, when I go to click it, it's going to look really small. So inspect is right click. All these things here are part of this code for this orb already that are under app configure, and that's what shows up here. So we've added some things to here so we can like quickly change stuff, or if you're creating an app or a hype for somebody or for people to use in your world, then you can put configure options here so they don't have to actually get into the code, but you could get into the code by clicking code or bring it up there. If you need to see the nodes, you can click this to see the nodes at the top. Click it back, will bring you back to code. Click X will bring you out. Flags. So you'll notice that this menu looks pretty similar to this menu. And you might wonder sometimes how to get to one or the other, right? So currently, if I press escape, it's going to leave. If I press Z, that stuff will go away. If I press Z again, it'll come back on. If I press escape, it'll bring this up. You'll notice down here, there's an apps. So if you click on apps, it'll bring up this apps pane, which is draggable, movable. Currently, this is not. And if you are in the apps pane, you'll see two icons here at the end. These will tell you like the number of instances. This will tell you the geometries, the triangles, the texture memory size, and if the code that is unlocked or locked is what this one actually is. So that's what the yes no is, which is a little misleading. Like you want to click this and maybe like open the code, but that's currently not what it is. And then this is the file size. Now, if you click here, it'll show you where it's at. So like if I was over here, it'll still show me like where it's at. That's especially useful if things are maybe like hidden behind something, or they end up like under the ground or under something, or like maybe you have something up in the air. You have a bunch of stuff going on. You can't remember exactly where it is. This will list all of your apps. Click this, will show you like where it is. But also you can click this I for inspect. And so this will do the same thing that right clicking on it does. So you don't have to actually go find the object and go up to it and right click. If you don't want to, you can just press escape, apps, find the thing. And this is why like naming things to what like you remember, or if you use like a generic hype from somebody that's like an area trigger or something, but then it's actually your trigger to open a door or to this location 1 or location 2, right? Like maybe name it something that you are going to be able to like look at this list and know what it is. It'll help you in the long run. You know, one thing on here is not a big deal, but when you have like 20 things on here, you can get and half of them are named very similar or something. You can just rename stuff, and the way you can rename stuff is when you're in here. You can go to the metadata, and the metadata name is right here. You can add an image for it here. This image is not going to show up in this right now in this UI. It's not set up that way anymore after the latest UI update. But what this image will do is when you go to download it, it'll be part of the metadata. And so when you download it, or if you're sharing it on something like Hyperhost or Hyperworld.host, they'll be able to see an image attached with it. So if you want to put like your whatever represents you, here you can put author URL, maybe to your world or to your portfolio or whatever you want to, and a description of what's going on. And you know, this doesn't mean that you have to always share it and stuff. I tend to also use descriptions for maybe telling me like what I did in this, you know. So it could be like I scaled up. I've got mesh rotation going. There's there's emissions, stuff like that. Like if you want to just kind of give yourself notes of like what different things you have going on in it, it can be useful. And so flags. So all these things up here, once again, everything above this line where it says model are things that are in this code. Oh, that's a strange bug. Am I still here? Okay. I don't know what happened there. See if we could recreate that. How did I make that happen? Did I try to open while it's open? Huh. That was weird. Okay. If something like that happens to you and you can make it happen twice, point it out in the issues channel or do something on GitHub. But in Discord in the issues channel, you can take a screenshot or just explain what happened. I'm not really sure what made that black out on me like that. Anyways, everything above the line here is part of the app configure. So in the code from app configure, all these things here is everything that you're seeing here. And so this is the end of app configure, and this is where things start actually happening to the actual model. Everything in app configure is what's showing up here. And so that'll be different for whatever app you're on. Maybe you don't have a bunch of app configures. Maybe you're using a hype that somebody created and it only has 3 things. That's why. So then you have model. You know, this is the model. Download. Pretty self-explanatory. Delete. Would delete it. So that's another handy thing. Like if you're trying to get rid of something, I could also just like exit from here X, meaning like type X, while my reticule, the red circle, is over it. Maybe I didn't want to do that. I could Control Z. So you'll notice now, like I have a mouse cursor. If I try to click, it's gonna bring me back to the circle reticle. If I am not in build mode, so if I press tab and I click, you'll notice it's white. If I try to interact with this model, I can't do anything because technically I'm not in admin mode. I'm not in build mode right now, so I don't have permissions to do anything. So people in your world that aren't an admin aren't going to be able to do that. So if you want to collaboratively build, or if you're like, why can't I get to the code right now? You're probably not in build mode. So you got to press tab. When you press tab to be in build mode, then you'll see all these build things that you can do that are here. And you'll notice that your reticle circle turns red. So now there's an indication that I'm in build mode. So we've right clicked, we've inspected, can escape out. You'll notice the next one's here, grab, translate, rotate. And this is a great, long awaited feature that if I, whoop, hopefully it can work. Am I doing something wrong? Inspect. Uh, hey, you have to like, whoa. Yeah, do I have to like, I have to start trying to do what's going on? Okay, because that's interesting. Okay, so this is another example of because this code is scaled up, when I turn the gizmo on, it only shows you the small scale, which I hope that that's something that we can change relatively soon. But let's just imagine that this model is that size. So with the gizmo, which looks different than it did the first time I remember seeing it, maybe just because I was under the floor, I don't remember having all the axes. So now I can take these arrows and like most gizmos that you may have seen before and other 3D modeling things with Blender, etc. The arrows will help you kind of get a better idea of how to move the object. You can grab from the middle, kind of freely move things. And now for press 3, this is for rotating. So kind of same idea. When you hover over one of these, it'll light up. And oh, does scaling work like that? I did not know that that was a thing. Or is that just because I'm closer to it? What is going on there? I guess that's just because I'm closer to it. Okay. So you notice it's got the blue highlighted. And so if I were to rotate it, and this model, once again, maybe isn't the best example because it has rotation in it. So when I'm rotating it, it's actually spinning the kind of the gyroscope of it. Let me drop something else in. Um, yeah, I bet that would have been, yeah, it was just right after you did it too. Yeah, that would have been helpful though for the kids.
Everyone, the adults, the teachers too, are like, "How do I move
Yeah.
things? Where to go?" I'm like, "Well, it
Uh,
kind of disappears and goes wherever it wants."
it's way over there. Don't worry about it.
But
So yeah, so this one doesn't have rotation on it. So now you can kind of see that I'm rotating it. Oh, it does have rotation on it. I lied. It doesn't have emission on it.
is scale
But trust,
available yet, or no? Just in code still.
yeah, I think just in code right now, there's um no scale. I think it'd probably be added in something that looks kind of like this and would
Yeah.
have like the ability to
Yeah, like in
drag out
yeah.
like a window or something. But no, that's not yet. Yeah. So at the moment, like the way that we did the scale on here is if I press escape, I can go to apps, so I don't have to walk over there, try to like get my reticule lined up on it. I know that that's the one I'm looking for. I could take a code here and go to code, and I can see that this one, the scale is set right here, app.scale.set 444. I did the X, Y, and Z. I increased by that much, and so it's, as you can see from this little one here versus this one over here, is a lot bigger. But then if I were to click on this, it goes back to the original size while you're doing stuff to it right now. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think this will
While
be
you're doing.
helpful because that'll be a little confusing to some people at first. Like, wait, what the hell's going?
Yeah, ideally this is gonna be maybe rethought. It's not too bad with like little objects, like smaller objects, I should say, like this kind of scale or whatever. But maybe you've scaled like like a slightly bigger object to a lot bigger, which ideally you're bringing the objects in as close to the size that you want into the world as possible, but like that's not always the case. So sometimes you got to scale stuff up. It's a little more disorienting when the thing starts out this big, but now it's this big, and you click it to move it, and it's like you know super tiny, and you're trying to position
Yeah,
where it is
definitely.
relative to the ground, and then you put it back, and you're like, damn it, it's floating again. What do I do? And so now you're like, okay, a little bit more. Okay, a little bit more. You have to kind of keep making it big again. It can get a little annoying, but just be patient and learn to think about things in two different sizes at once, and you'll do all right.
So, is there any plans
Um,
to make it so like you can just resize whatever size it happens to be there, regardless of what it came as, or no? That's just too much of a pain in the
I
butt.
no, I think there's plans. It's in the mix. Ash, I was just looking at that, I think.
On his giant
Uh,
scroll of to dos.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely think that that would be very useful for it to be able to stay at your scaled size when you click on it.
Yeah, I think that definitely would help.
Because, yeah, it's definitely annoying. Yeah, like especially like when it's a building and you're trying to level it with the ground or something. Um, it's kind of hard to like eyeball it when you click out of it and now it's big again. You're like, oh no, it's under the ground. Oh no, now it's flying. Oh no, now it's. And so some ways to deal with that is to like set positions within code. But not everyone's kind of like at that level of wanting to dig into code to do things like that. And so more creator tools are kind of the next thing that's happening. And that kind of started with like the gizmo modes and stuff, right? And this is kind of like a little more freedom, and so maybe the scaling will be a thing. Some like basic hypes that are good default starting points, I guess, is going to be coming soon. What does local space do? Oh, what? I don't even know that. What did I just do? Local space versus world space. Oh, in like, I don't know how that applies to everything. Wait, did I just duplicate it too?
I think you did.
How? How did I do that? What? Is it supposed to duplicate when you do that? I'm lost.
Yeah, sometimes I accidentally duplicate when I'm moving things. I click, like, I don't know. I've done that before.
I don't
Maybe it's
I don't know
just.
why. Maybe I like tapped the right mouse at the same time because right. Oh, no, R is duplicate. There's no way it shouldn't have duplicated. Why did that happen? And why can't I do it again? Oh, okay. Um, one of those mysterious. There might be a couple of bugs, but I'm not really sure what they are because they're only happening once. I'm just gonna chalk it up as like kind of a user. Maybe I accidentally pressed R or something. I'm not really sure. Um, but yeah, world space versus local space is dimensions basically. Um, X to destroy is to get rid of it. Control Z to undo, which is not actually on this list over here. So we might want to add that. Control Z to undo, and also maybe the Z to toggle. And another reason why maybe they could be different things. Space to jump, double tap to fly. While you're in build mode is the only time right now that you can fly. So if I were to press tab, I'll fall. If I double jump and I'm not in build mode, or if I just double spacebar, double tap spacebar, I'm gonna double jump. And if I'm build mode, I will fly. I can double tap again on spacebar to stop flying. Or if I'm flying, I could just press tab out of build mode and I'll fall. Exit is tab to get out of here. Escape brings this up. Yeah, what else is there? Audio. If you're in a world and there's like a radio playing or a lot of stuff and you want to like turn it down or mute, you can go up to your tab and just like mute directly here if there's something playing. Or B, you can come here and turn off their music. Voice is something that would be added in a few days actually with LiveKit. And sound effects is usually other things going on in the world, and that really depends on the builder of the world. And you're able to list like music and sound effects on each audio clip that you add. So when you're listing it, that's what it means in the audio section. So like if you wanted to check out what that is, you can come to the site, you can search audio. You can always get to search by Control K. I do this a lot, like while I'm building and stuff. Working on another solution to make this even more seamless. And if you came here and you saw on here, group, music, and sound effects, SFX, sound effects, choosing the group for your audio is what that is doing is making it so that it goes in one of these categories. So everything is sound effects. When it's turned down, we'll turn down all sound effects, and same with music, and so yeah, you can control that there. Graphics, if you need to, maybe make things a little bit easier or like lighter on your computer and stuff, you can turn the shadows down. You can turn the post-processing off and on. It'll kind of take a second, but you can kind of see the difference there. Bloom. And you might not, there's nothing using bloom in this moment. So I'm going to do that. That's not really going to do anything. Sometimes when I'm building and I'm not like really using anything yet that this just matters too much on, I'll turn this stuff like pretty down. Maybe not completely to low, but like medium, turn that off. Maybe even turn bloom off. Because it's like I'm doing stuff, I don't really need to know if that's working yet. It makes it a little bit lighter. If you're working on a slower machine or slower connection, if you're working from a server, right now this is local host, so it's not really taking like internet bandwidth. But if you're working from like your server and stuff, you might want to do stuff like that. And within an app, if you check out the flags, what these ones are, and so once again, like these are all the app configures. We did the model, the code. We talked about the metadata and flags. So flags is some options that you have for this model. And so preload means like it's going to load into the world before the player loads into the world. And so when you're loading a world and you, for example, I'll do Control-Shift-R right now, this is going on. And obviously it was really quick because there's nothing in this world. But you saw a loading wheel, right? So while that loading wheel is happening, anything that's preloaded is going to be loading in that time. And so then when my player appears in the world, that thing will already be there, right? And so sometimes it's good to choose like some things to preload, some things to not. Maybe you don't want everything to preload necessarily, unless like you want a long loading time, or if you don't have a lot of stuff, maybe like it'd be useful to preload everything. But it is good to like select some things to preload. And so if you're on here, you go to flags, you can preload this. So now we'll skip out of this, we'll tab out of this. Oh, actually, we'll keep it in build mode because I need to be in build mode. We'll press Z. I'm going to press enter, which is one thing we haven't done. And that's going to bring up my chat. So if I press enter, whoop. Am I in my chat now? No. Build mode, type. Can't type. Why can't I type? Oh, really? I have to. Okay, sometimes I guess the focus doesn't go directly to the chat. I thought it did, but you might have to click on it. But to make chat appear, you type enter. If you're in the world by yourself, one thing you might want chat for is to type your admin code. So if you did go from a server, if you're hosting through like Hyperworlds, or anything else, maybe Hyperfy directory or somebody else that's hosting for you, and they've kind of given you an admin code, maybe generated one for you or set it to something. They might say, hey, this is your admin code. Then this is where you would type it in at the moment. This might change soonish, where you'll have some access within here to type in your admin code. But in the time at this time, you press enter, do a slash command, you do a space, and then you type in your password. Like I said, this was a fresh Git clone, and so it starts with no password. But let's say I've been disconnected because I just killed the server in my terminal with Control C, and I'm opening my code, and I'm going in my environment variable, and I'm gonna add hello as my refresh. Control Shift R. You could just refresh from here too. So I'm back in the world, and I press enter. I just changed my admin code to hello. So now when I type /admin hello, it's going to say admin granted. Sometimes after admin granted, and this may have been resolved, I think, lately, but before, you might notice that you didn't actually get full build mode, or you still don't have like full builder permissions for some reason, even though it said admin granted. Usually when in doubt, Control Shift R and refresh. Ideally, those things will be like ironed out as we go, but every now and then, or if you're playing a game, maybe you're testing someone's game or something, you notice like other people have weapons and it seems like you probably should too or something, refresh. Maybe something didn't load right. It might have been some caching error or some bandwidth thing. Refresh solves a lot of things at the moment. So admin was granted, so now that means I'll have access to this. If you were to type it again, let's say admin revoked. So now you'll notice that like if I press tab, I can't see build mode. If I press Z, it just clears my whole screen, but I still can't get to build mode. I want to build, don't know what I'm doing, can't do it. So I press enter. My chat comes up, /admin, space, whatever my admin password is that I got from the person that's hosting my world. If you're not self-hosting your world, click it. Now you'll notice tab build mode's back up. Maybe you accidentally press Z. Now everything disappears. And you're like, I don't have a reticle. How do I select this object? You press Z. And that'll appear. You press build mode. And you'll see it change from red to gray. And what else we got? Don't mind that noise. So we were looking at, once again, you can press escape, go to apps, click this if you want, or you can right click on this to inspect. Is it right click or is it R now? Oh no, R duplicates. Things changed. It used to be R to look at it. Which there's two there now. X to delete. It kind of looked cool. See how many we can throw in one space. Hey, look at that. That's not bad. So you might have got used to an order push to the dev branch, or maybe you're not on the latest dev branch, and some of these things you're like, wait, that's not how it works for me. That means that you need to do a git pull, which is what we did in the beginning, and that can be found here. So you need to be on the dev branch and pull to the latest update. You might have some issues if you do that, and it might say that you need to merge and things like this, right? You have some conflicts. Cheddar's made a really nice guide here that will pretty much cover any situation that you come across. So this will show, you have merge, managing versions. Maybe you have some merge conflicts, like here when things get tricky, keep calm, carry on type of situation, what rebasing versus reverts and merging is, and some follow-up things to go a little bit deeper into how to do Git and things like that. If you're getting hosted from somebody and you notice that you don't have the same things that are going on right now, maybe you press R and it's not duplicating stuff, but it's bringing this up. That means that you're not on the latest dev branch, and you should reach out to the person that's hosting your world and kindly ask them to update to the latest dev branch if they can. And that shouldn't take very long to do. It should be a pretty quick process. Your world might be down for a couple minutes while that happens, but then you will be good to go. And if you're doing it locally, then yeah, you would follow those steps in the Hyperfy.how. And so what else we got? Flag. Preload. Talked about preload. So this set it to preload, yes. And you'll notice that this didn't change numbers here because I got to click refresh. Now if I refresh, you'll see that I actually have 9 of those things there. And if I were to inspect, it's if I change the code on it right now, it's going to change all 9 of those. And the reason it's going to change all 9 of those is because they're not unlinked. And so here's another quick thing. If I were to go to escape, you'll notice here that it doesn't actually say anything about linking or unlinking, which probably should be added there too. But if I were to press U, I have unlinked one of those orbs rotating around. Not sure which one, but if I were to press escape again, you'll see that, and click the apps to get to the apps pane that is draggable around. You'll notice that now 8 are together and 1 is separate. That's because these are all practical purposes like the same, identical, and this one now is unlinked. So if I were to not use a silly example like this, let's just X all those out. Let's escape. Let's use R to duplicate and then move it over to the side so that we can actually see what's going on here. And now if I were to press escape again, go to apps, I would notice I have 2 of these. And if I were to look over one and press U, I would unlink it. And you'll notice that once again, this didn't live update. Click refresh, and now you'll see that there is 1 and 1. So now that means that if I were to change the code on one of these, it won't change the code or these selection configure options on the other one. Sometimes when I'm using kind of the same hype or the same model, but I've made new instances of it, I like to go in the metadata and like give one of them a different indicator name, either in the description or the name itself, and put, this one is, by the door, or, number 1, or something that helps you remember like where this one is in relation to the world or in relation to what you're using it for is kind of helpful. Or you could just do 1, 2, but I mean, if you do that, it's not really any different than having it in a list, right? So you might say like, this one's the left one. And then if I refresh that, you'll see that, which I guess currently doesn't really matter on here unless I click on it anyways, because I can't change the size of this. Some of these things will maybe have some solutions magically appear for you soon. And then if I were to click on this one,
I was just gonna ask how to
I might also, change this one to right. Boom, boom, boom. And now if I were to inspect on this, did I actually do it right? Because I'm not really sure. Yeah, I did. Okay, good. These could have different settings. And if I were to look at this one, now you'll see it still says pulse on 100. If I were to look at this one, now it says static of 3. However, if they were linked, which guess that has changed. I thought if I clicked on it twice, it used to say linked and unlinked. So I'm not actually sure how to relink things anymore. I don't know what changed there. Anybody know the answer to that one? On the latest dev, how to relink? Could you load up some VRMs to try on? Yes. Sorry, I haven't been looking at this chat. Maybe that's why it's not letting me relink. You can't because it's one way, like undo. Yeah. I got it. Got it. That makes sense. Okay. So you can't. So what you could do is you could duplicate one of these, right? And now it's here. And so these two are linked, and this one is unlinked. So if I were to look at this, and I change this one to static, right? This one has also changed to static because those are linked. But if I change this to, 10, then those two just changed, but this one did not because this one is unlinked. So you might want to name things in that way too, like this one's by itself or something. This one's solo. This one is linked together. Yeah, so that's what linking does. Lock, and also what unique does. So when duplicating this app in a world, create a completely new and unique instance of its separate config. And so what that means is, say I have this one, and I click unique on it. Now when I duplicate this with R, then and I try to move it, I threw it way over there. Yeah. Not gonna lie, this is an annoying model sometimes to work with. All right, come here. Okay, well, if I look at this, it should be unique, but it doesn't seem to be because it's saying it's the same instance. So that didn't actually do anything. Demo gods. Well, it's supposed to make it unique. It's supposed to be unique and unlock basically the same thing. If you have it set to unique first and you duplicate it, it will be unlinked. Unlinked and unique are the same thing, pretty much, from different sides of order of operations. So if you unique something and then you duplicate it, it should be unlinked. If this is set to no and you duplicate it, it's not by default unlinked, and then you would have to press U while over it. I don't think you can hover over it or like go to it and then press unique after the fact, and it'll make it unlinked. Kind of a weird flow right now, and maybe that will be modified a little bit. If things ever feel kind of like less intuitive to you and stuff, offer feedback in the dev channel or the general channel or the issues. Only way things are gonna ever, change or come to different agreements is if people actually speak up and say what's working for them or what's maybe confusing. Lock means that the code is not accessible. So if or it's open to other people, or it's editable. So if it's locked and I were to download this and then give it to somebody or put it on something, and you drag it into your world, drag and drop it into your world, and you try to click code and it's locked, it's not gonna pop up code, and it will be locked. If it's unlocked, then you can access the code. I believe it can be locked, then you can still see the app configuration. So like if you want to set something up for somebody and you want them to still have like some options to change the little things, right? You could put it in your app configure here, so they don't actually have to like go into the code and do anything, but they can be making changes to the code by changing these numbers. That's why app configure is very useful. And over configuring things maybe can get to be too much, but it is good to leave some things here that you want people to be able to change without having to like go find it in the code, maybe, or maybe just for yourself. Like while you're testing things out, sometimes I'll put a lot more things here than I actually need at the end of when I have it where I want. But like right now, maybe I want to see like what a different speed looks like, or what a different color looks like, or what a different whatever looks like without having to go into the code and change it. So I'll throw up a bunch of app configures, and then I'll kind of be able to kind of toggle through them and do what I want to do here, right? Flags, boom, bam, escape, tab, code, Z, this, escape, let's look at something, we'll go to code pops up, you want to find the nodes. The nodes are here, we'll show you like the children, the different nodes that exist within your model, and other information about it. This is like the outliner that you would find in Blender. And so let's drag, oh wow, we're kind of at time. I'm like, oh yeah, an hour on doing that stuff, but here we go. Let's drag a avatar in. And I think that will probably help us wrap it up. Where is an avatar? So I'm just dragging an avatar onto my screen. And avatar popped up. Now I can place avatar. And that just puts the VRM into my world. And I think it probably put it at the spawn point. But it's over here. So we got Homestar here. Or we can also drag it and just drag it into my screen. I can equip it. And now I am the avatar. There is in the All Hypes channel a avatar station which I have one sitting somewhere accessible. I know I do. Avatar station. Hmm. I thought I did. Avatar. Avatar station. So, Avatar station is a nice thing that you can use. And if you look at this, you can click this avatar here and it'll bring open a thing to choose your avatar, just like you would add a model, right? And so if I wanted to change this out, I could see there. And now this avatar is available to people. And so I could like duplicate this avatar station, which you can find in the server in all hypes and maybe on the marketplace with Hyperworld soon. Maybe even default in branches in the near future. Like certain things like this, I think will probably be useful to have like accessible really quick without having to go find it because it's something that a lot of people are going to want to put around. There are other ways that you can do this where you can have multiple ones on, but for the sake of this video, you can have multiples side by side. And I can change this out and I can put another guy here. And now if I were to go up to him and press equip, I can change it. And so this is a great way when you're like trying to let people have some options and stuff. But if you're just trying to do it like for yourself and you've popped in somebody's world and you have privileges to change your avatar, which sometimes will be under like admin mode or might always be under admin mode, then you can just drag it into the world and this will pop up automatically and then you can equip it. If you're trying to like make NPCs or something, then you can place them and you can have little characters around that you can add emotes and stuff to. An emote is like the animation. So like standing still is my idol. There's the walk animation is but just doing that. You might be doing a certain situation where you want to like punch or dance or celebrate. And a handy place that you can look for those things is Hyperfy animations, which has some good GLBs here already made for Hyperfy. It's taken a second to load, but there should be a character there. And that will kind of show you what these different things are. So like this will help you get some VRM animations. You can download them. And then that GLB is what would go in the emote. And then you can change what things look like. But next week, we're going to go in a little more detail about like doing some VRM stuff and some model optimization. One or the other. I'm not sure yet. There's going to be a pre-recorded video from somebody that lives in a far off time zone than what we're offering right now. And so they're going to go ahead and pre-record a video about that. And yeah, so we can go a little bit deeper into like more VRM stuff. So I think this is a good segue to kind of close out on. I'll check back. Are you trying to instance materials? Yes, that's correct, but not with materials. Materials need a line of code. Only locked once you download it. Until you download it, that version isn't actually locked. Got it. That was with the code, right? Yes. So if I lock it there and like other people are still in my world or something, if they have admin, then obviously they can still see it. And that's why I was able to still click code as well to get to it because I hadn't actually downloaded it yet. But if you put it on lock and then you download it, and then you share it, not people won't be able to access the code. If you put it on lock, you download it and you put it back in your own world. Have you tried that? Can I access it if I download it? Yeah, I can't even access it. So if I lock it and accidentally delete the one that's in my world that I can access, and then I drag back in my locked downloaded one, then you can't access it either. That's a valuable thing to know. That's why having a private world for apps like that is important. Yes. Local worlds are really nice to build into. Like, even if you are getting hosted on a server and you don't plan to like locally host, building in a local world can still be really useful and safe. Like, if you're trying to test out something, you don't quite know how it works, it's good to do in a local host first, a local build. Especially if you're not hosting your server, if something goes wrong and you got to reach out to somebody, maybe they don't live in the same time zone as you or something, or you want to back up the scripts, or like we're talking about with locked. It's nice to have like your own kind of library world where like you have stuff saved, or even like I was just looking for this VRM or that VRM. And some of us have gotten in the habit of having like worlds that are kind of our drop boxes of certain things in a sense, whether it's hosted or local. If you're working with teams, sometimes it's nice to drop all the things in a world that's kind of like a build world, or at the bottom of a world that you're building, or off in the corners, so that like everyone has access to it, rather than having to share it over Discord, you can treat this kind of like a cloud space. Yes, and we've all learned the hard way, but I fully understand. Backups, yeah, backups are really nice. Back up the scripts. If you're coding elsewhere, save it. Another good reason to use Git, but even then, when you use Git, you'll notice in the world assets folder, it hashes all. So your code is there, the hypes are there, but they're not going to be named or left or right because the names get hashed. So it might be a little bit harder to uncover, but they are there in your folder, so long as it's still in the world. So that only helps you if it's in the world. So it's nice to copy and back things up and have multiple versions, or if it's for you, maybe have a separate folder of things that you don't lock, and then when you're trying to like show it with other people and you don't want them to see it for whatever reason, you can lock it and maybe save that in a separate folder. Did you show world settings also? Oh, I did not. Damn. Feel like thanks. World settings. Yep, you're right. I skipped over this one. So world settings title is what's going to show up here. So, hello. Changed up there. Favicon didn't change. That's within your code base. So I could change it now, or if you're hosting with somebody else, you can ask them to change that, or maybe they have a certain thing. If you're in your own, I believe it's in public folder. Do you know how I offhand? I don't really, yeah, I think it's client public. I'll have to look at that actually, because there's not a favicon by default, which I feel like this should be a Hyperfy favicon by default. Would make more sense than nothing. And then you can change that out. So maybe that will become an option here in the near future too, because we have title. Description is what's going to go in like the meta OG stuff. So if you're ever sharing a link on Twitter and Discord or something like that, and you see the little description boxes that come up, that's what this is going to be. Same with this title will show up not only here on the tab, but it will be the title in like the description under your link. And so it'll show your title and then learn world. Environment is your ground. So now you can change that directly from here. And so if I were to click that, it's going to open up a browser area to search for, right? And then if I want to change my ground, I can go to something that I have ready. Change it to a grid. So it's going to change my whole environment. And maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want the grass. You can click out of it. If you want to change your default avatar, so this will be what everybody loads in as. Now, if I were to Control Shift R, reload. Oh, it's because I already set my avatar, huh? Or maybe it didn't have time to save. No, it saved. I think that's because I already set my avatar. Yeah, that's totally why. So if I were to open like a private window, now I'm strong bad. Oh, but you probably can't see that, huh? Probably not. If you open a private window, there's somebody else coming in your world right now. It'll be this character. Player limit 0 is unlimited. You can set how many people can actually come into your world. Like maybe you have a lot of stuff going on, or you want to make sure it runs smoothly, or you're trying to have a certain event. You want to cap off the number of people or something. Public. This is what allows everyone to build and destroy things in the world. When disabled, only admins can build. Oh, okay. So this basically is like if you want people to be able to access everything, you can toggle that. That's a little bit newer. So you don't have to like give everyone admin. Like maybe you have an admin password, but for learning purposes or while people are in the world with you or something, you want them to be able to do stuff. And then when you're done for the day and you're, going out of the world, you want to make sure that it stays like you have it at that moment and you don't come back and everyone's changed everything or something. You can turn it off for people that don't have the admin password. And if they have your admin password, then yeah, they can always do stuff, but maybe you just want to be able to toggle it here. Set spawn. This will set the location. Oh, that's nice. That's new. Newer as well. So in other ways, you used to do like spawn space set, which still works, and I'll say spawn updated. So now that set my spawn point to right there. But now you can also, from the world, if I walk over here and I go to world, set spawn, now it's updated to right here. So if I were to refresh, that's where I am relative to this green grass that gives you no identity, no indication that I actually changed anything, huh? Let's do it in comparison to right here. Maybe it was obvious that it changed. Set spawn, refresh, and now I spawned in front of Kersey. Clear spawn, this would make it back to the origin, which is 000. which I don't know what it is in relation to those things. Well, anyway, kind of wandered off. Oh, it's not too far away. Right there. Yeah, I think that's all the things. I'm about to show you. How do you set up a default avatar? Dapcraft World is off the hook. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, Dapcraft default avatar showed you here. Being able to change avatars for people, you can dig into like how these avatar stations work. There's a couple other ones in the hype. And action triggers, like different hypes will be a little more, but like interaction triggers is action. So like this equip is action. So that's what lets you like interact with signs or talk to a robot NPC or something. This is also an in-world UI is kind of what's making that appear there. You can do on-screen UI. So if you wanted to like interact and talk to a robot or a floating thing and have it show up on the screen, it's pretty straightforward and simple to do. If you want people to be able to fly, you can add a launch pad, and there's kind of like a rocket boost thing that you can add. If you want to make two-step functions, like this is a door, and first you need to go do something before you can access this door. You can have apps communicate with each other with like app send or world send. If you want to do like emissions and stuff, there's a couple things like this that can help manage emissions. All stuff that's kind of been around for a while in the hypes, so you can kind of piece together and form your own little demo of sorts. And yeah, anything else, or does that feel like a good place to wrap up?
I think that sounds like a great place to wrap up. But that's a lot. Thank you. There's a lot of stuff I had no idea how to even access. So that was great.
Yeah, for sure. Howie, any additions? I see you typing here or there. Anybody else? Anything you think we didn't cover that might be good to throw into this one? Change into phone environment, avatar, admin. Notice the biggest roadblock at the moment is people understanding the app system we have is limitless. And anything they want can be built already, with the few exceptions. It just requires somebody to build it once and hopefully be kind enough to share it with everyone else. Yes, which is part of the lock thing. As far as like voice, video, stuff like that, it should be coming out in a couple of days here. With the addition of LiveKit. And what's that? So that's something that's not quite there yet, but it's coming very soon. And yeah, if you want to piece things together, you can come into the Discord, which you can find either probably through the YouTube if you're watching this, or you're already in Discord with us, or you're on Hyperfy.how and you click here and it'll send you to Discord. Within the Discord, there's a all hypes in the showcase, which has a bunch of examples from the community of different combinations of all of these reference nodes, all these nodes. If you need to ever figure out what each node does, you can come into Hyperfy.how, you can control K, and you can just start typing it. And then you can go to it and you can see what the props are, what the commands are for the nodes, what your options are basically in audio.node. And we some of us are working on some more snippets and clips so that everyone will have some code example here and ideally like an example hype that you can access. And maybe also soon there's a rumor that there will be some ready-made default ones from within Worlds, so you won't even have to go through the hassle of trying to do some basic things like add an anchor to a seat or something, right? Or add a soundtrack to the back of it, or add a collider to things and stuff like that. There are things like Hyperfy tools where you can add colliders, or in code you can add colliders. It's pretty easy both ways. If you have any problems ever, like something's not working for you, feel free to reach out to the community and like speak up. Like while it's happening is kind of the better approach than maybe struggling with it on your own and feeling like you couldn't get the help you needed, but nobody actually knew that you needed any help. And yeah, that's all she wrote. So next week we'll have some VRMs and asset optimization stuff. And as far as that, like VR, like maybe the creation of VRMs in Blender or like some different resources for VRMs, and then how to make things lower lower file size, lower texture size, lower polygons, so that it's less burdensome on your world, or if you're trying to have a lot of things. We have a Blender guru that's going to be sharing some stuff, Matt.
Awesome. Can't wait for that. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for chiming in on the sides. Thanks for recording. And hopefully that was helpful.
Very helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I'll have this up and hopefully either tonight or tomorrow for everyone if you missed part of it.
Yeah, you're super quick on that. And then, yeah, as always, if you have anything that you would like to see or offer, there are teleforms here. And so you can just like, hey, I want to help. I want to offer a thing. As with Matt, who lives in a way different time zone than everyone else, he's going to do a pre-recording, or maybe you like are nervous talking live in front of people, or you don't, you just want to record something, or even you want to make a tutorial and you want to use 11 Labs or AI or some script and you don't want to talk. You can do that. That's still helpful. Pre-record it and say that you're going to do it, and we can offer it to people. Or you want to see a specific workshop, you can click here, and same thing. You can fill out what it is that you want to learn, and maybe somebody that you're like, hey, I think this person might even be good to offer it, and then we can reach out to them. Check the YouTube, that's where all these will go, and they'll also end up on this channel. And yep, follow Hyperfy on X and star the GitHub repo. If you do anything, that would be super great. Still not to 200. Come on, let's go.